Hi, I'm George, and I'm going to talk today about the system that destroys families. Here's what I found. This is the system I left. This is a conversation that no one wants to have, but today we're going to talk about it. Sitting in my modest home here in San Carlos City, watching my kids play in the garden while their mom, Caroline, she's helping with homework. I came across a conversation that stopped me in my tracks. It was about America's birth rate crisis, a topic most people avoid. It made me reflect on the path we chose, the life we're building here in the Philippines, and why the answer to this crisis might be simpler than anyone wants to admit. The numbers are hard to ignore. Birth rates in America have dropped to 1.6 children per woman. The replacement rate is 2.1 just to keep the population stable. Among millennials, only 58% have children, the lowest in recorded history. But behind these statistics is something deeper, something that connects to why I'm raising my family thousands of miles from where I was born. Let's talk about the nursing home nation. Let's look at what's coming. When the largest generation in America history, the boomers, reaches their 80s and 90s, who's going to care for them? The system assumes there will be enough service workers, healthcare providers, and people to staff the nursing homes. But with the birth rates collapsing, those workers simply won't exist. What breaks my heart is how we've normalized something that would have been unthinkable just 2 generations ago, sending our elders to facilities instead of caring for them at home. The very people who raised us, who sacrificed for us, who hold decades of wisdom and experience, are warehoused like burdens instead of blessings. Here, my wife's parents are part of our daily life. They're not visitors, they're not guests. They are the foundation of something bigger than just our nuclear family, our extended family. Every day I see what America has lost. The hidden economics of family. Here's something more financial advisors never mention. When I calculate what my in-laws contribute to our household, I'm not talking about money, but in real value. It blew my mind. Childcare that would cost maybe $600 a week in America, they handle it with joy. Tutoring, cooking, home repairs, gardening. If you add up the market value of everything grandparents provide when they live with you, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. But it's more than economics. It's trust. When your own family watches your children, there's no anxiety about strangers, no worry about values being undermined. Your kids grow up hearing family stories, learning traditions, understanding where they come from. The Western model that kicks kids out at 18 and treats extended family as awkward holiday obligations. Yeah, I just said that. It's economic suicide disguised as independence. No other culture deliberately fractures family health and wisdom like this. In Asia, specifically in the Philippines, families build together across generations. Only in America did we fall for that lie that isolation equals success. The real culprit nobody names. This is where it gets uncomfortable. People want to blame feminism, career culture, or changing values. But here's what's really happening, because I lived it before I left. Young people aren't choosing not to have kids. They literally can't afford them. The median house price has exploded from $130,000 to over $450,000. Interest rates make monthly payments impossible for average earners. You need to make well over $100,000 for the same house that required $60,000 just a generation ago. Gas, groceries, rent, everything has skyrocketed while wages stagnated. The dollar has lost 10% of its value this year alone. Jobs are disappearing to automation. The government sends billions overseas while offering citizens $700 when their house burns down. Young people aren't avoiding parenthood because they're selfish. They're drowning in an economy designed to extract everything from them while giving nothing back. When systems replace families, when families fracture, something fills the void. And what filled it? The state, the government, the institutions, the weakest members of society who once found shelter within extended families now depend on systems that see them as numbers, as cost, as problems to manage rather than people to love. This is why so many struggle on the streets. Not because families don't care, but we've been programmed to believe it's someone else's responsibility. We've outsourced compassion to bureaucracies that have neither the resources nor the heart to truly help. Meanwhile, young people at 18, thrust into the world without the wisdom and protection of elders, become perfect targets. For what? Corporate exploitation, government propaganda, radical ideologies online. They're mentally pliable, inexperienced, desperate for belonging and meaning. And instead of family providing that foundation, they find it in movements, in consumption, in anything that promises to fill that family-shaped hole in their hearts. The ticking clock. Here's what keeps me up at night. What made me leave? We're not just facing demographic collapse. We're building the infrastructure for something far darker. AI-powered censorship, digital IDs, already implemented in the UK and spreading, facial recognition, automated enforcement, data centers consuming more power than entire states. This isn't conspiracy theory. It's happening now, openly, marketed as progress and safety. When millions lose their jobs to AI, when they depend entirely on government support to survive, when every transaction and movement is tracked, what happens to resistance? What happens to freedom? What happens when speaking truth becomes impossible because the very system that fed you will cut you off for wrong think? The window to change course is closing, not in decades, in years, maybe less. What the Philippines taught me. Living here has shown me what we've lost and what's still possible. My children play freely. They know their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, their grandparents intimately. They understand they're part of something larger than themselves. The economic pressure exists here too, but families face it together. Resources are pooled. Wisdom is shared. Children are raised by villages, not strangers. Is it perfect? No. But it's human in a way that America has forgotten how to be. When my father-in-law was still around, I used to watch him teach my son to fix things with his hands. When I see my mother-in-law singing to my daughter the same songs she sang to my wife, when extended family gathers not for obligatory holidays but for ordinary Tuesday dinners, I see civilization's actual foundation. Not governments, not corporations, not ideologies, but families. The uncomfortable truth. South Korea's birth rate has fallen to 0.9. Japan is aging into irrelevance. China's one-child policy created a demographic time bomb that they're desperately trying to defuse. They're even implementing cooling off periods for divorce, bringing in foreign brides, anything to reverse the collapse. But it's too late. The cultural programming is complete. Some say robots will save us. AI will fill the gaps. But depending on machines to replace human connections, to substitute for the bonds between generations, that's not salvation. That's the final surrender. The conversation has finally reached polite society. Even the New York Times admits there's a problem. But admission isn't action, and the solutions they propose, government incentives, workplace daycare, extended parental leave, they're just bandages on a severed artery. The revolution that starts at home. What it's really going to take, not policy changes, not economic incentives, it's going to take millions of people saying enough. It's going to take families choosing each other over careers. It's going to take young people rejecting the lie that their parents are backwards and their grandparents are useless. It's going to take what I did. Looking at the system and choosing to step outside it entirely. Not everyone can move to the Philippines, but everyone can choose family over the fracture. Everyone can invite their parents to be part of their children's daily lives. Everyone can reject the nursing home industrial complex and embrace the messy, beautiful, economically sensible reality of multi-generational living. They sold us a vision of independence that was actually isolation. They sold us careers that consumed our fertile years. They sold us the idea that the family was a burden rather than wealth. And guess what? We bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. But here's what I know. Watching my children thrive in this simpler life, surrounded by family, rooted in faith, free from the suffocating systems being built back home, we can choose differently. We must choose differently. The birth rate crisis isn't about convincing people to have babies. It's about rebuilding the entire structure that makes family possible, valuable, and central to human flourishing. It's about recognizing that grandparents aren't relics to be managed, but treasures to be cherished. It's about understanding that real wealth isn't in your 401k, but in the faces around your dinner table. They're building their digital prisons, their surveillance states, their AI-controlled futures, but they can't force you to abandon your family. They can't stop you from choosing love over efficiency, wisdom over innovation, roots over rootlessness. The revolution isn't in the streets. It's in the living rooms where 3 generations share meals. It's in children who know their great-grandmother's stories. It's in young adults who honor their elders' wisdom instead of dismissing it as outdated. This is how civilizations actually survive, not through technology, not through governmental programs, through families who refuse to let go of each other, who build wealth together across generations, who understand that the answer to societal collapse isn't complicated. It's as simple as coming home.